Hey everyone, welcome back to the Being Whole podcast. This week I'm here with my friend Kyle Balmos. Kat is the owner of two stores in downtown New Braunfels, Lot 59 and The Local. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and follow them on Instagram because they're always posting such cute stuff and it makes me want to go down to the store almost every day. Speaking of going to the store, I hope that you'll remember to shop local this holiday season. Much of the goods and services that you see provided in the Lot 59 and Local are from local artisans that Kat supports. I was fortunate enough to have a book signing at the Local, and she also sells my book there. Thank you, Kat, for all the support that you give others. Let's get back to the show. Hey everyone, today I am here with my friend Kat Balmos, and I'm really excited for you to listen to our conversation. Kat's actually somebody I met here in New Braunfels, and she has really just been a source of joy for me. Every time I see her, she's got a smile for me, and she's got helpful advice in some way, shape, or form. She always tells me what I needed to hear, even if she didn't intend to do it.
Whether you want to hear it or not.
Right, whether I want to hear it or not. Yes, this is true. So welcome, Kat. I'm so excited that you're here with us today.
I'm super glad to be here. I'm honored to be a part of this. I'm proud of you.
Well, I'm so excited. Just to give everyone a little background, you actually own two businesses here in New Braunfels. And I wanted you to come on just not only to tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what's brought you to this point, but then also to share with us kind of some of the trials and tribulations that come along with owning businesses, especially businesses in a town where you live. So just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself to start off.
Okay, well, it doesn't surprise many people, but I did grow up in New Braunfels, the local. I'm humbly a part of a family that is 6 generations. So my grandfather came over with the first founding fathers. He was one of the first 100. His name was Julius Felker. And so in 1845, with that first group, he was here and we've been here ever since. So I am 6 generations. My daughter is 7 generations, and so we have deep roots in New Braunfels, and I'm super proud of that. I did graduate from Canyon High School. My mom was a career teacher. She was there for 35 years.
Wow.
Her name is Betty Kyle. A lot of people in town know who she is. I do have 2 older brother siblings, and then my younger sister, Jennifer. We are all back home now, raising our families. We all graduated from Canyon because my mom taught there. So we all went there. Then we went to college at Austin College in Sherman, Texas, a private little liberal arts school, about 1,200 students. My brother went there, and then I went, and then Jennifer went. So we all kind of have a history there. We just loved the small school, and we were able to do things there that we couldn't do probably at bigger schools. Like we played volleyball and sports and studied abroad and stuff like that. But that's kind of, the beginnings of me. So I've always just been here in New Braunfels, a good old German girl. The last names are Welker and Wagenfear. So we're very, very German. And then my mom obviously married a Kyle, which is Scotch Irish. So I'm Irish and German. So clearly I love beer.
Well, you're in a great place to love beer.
Yeah,
we have a lot of good festivals, so that works out well. Well, it's so, the history, and for people who aren't from here, just that it is a town steeped in rich history, and there are so many people who have been here, generationally. So you owning these businesses then, and, you working through, you're not only working with people that you've maybe known your whole life, basically, or people who've known you your whole life, but then you're seeing as the town shifts and new people come in. So you've really had a unique experience to watch New Braunfels kind of transform over your whole life, really.
Yes, it's quite interesting. I get asked a lot, having grown up here, what I feel about the growth and all of that. I can tell you that when I left in 1987, after graduating from high school, so that means I'm 50 week, I did not think that I would come back and have any kind of career. In fact, I loved New Braunfels. I loved growing up here. I had an amazing childhood here, but I did not think in '87 that I would come back. You know, I started my career after college in Dallas and then the big cities in Houston. And then we can talk about more of that later, but I traveled most of the United States and really didn't know that I would come back. Due to circumstances that we will talk about, I guess, I did find myself back here. That was unplanned. And that was probably at around 2003, I guess, or four. And I was surprised to see some youth that had established themselves here with some good companies that at the time were really able to give, some young people a good career. And so the demographic of New Braunfels had changed. And so when I came home thinking it might be just like a little stopover until I got my feet under me again, ended up going, hey, there's something for me here now. It's changed. It's not this retirement community that it was supposed to be. It's actually growing and changing and dynamic and fun. And so it had something to offer me because I was very ambitious. I was just having a little hiccup in my life and needed to get myself okay. And but it gave me something to stay for. So the growth that is happening, I have fondness in my heart for, because I don't think that if it had happened, I would be back here. And I don't think I would have been able to have what I have now or be able to have raised my child here.
Yeah. And that's such a beautiful way to put it, because then you think about the growth that's still happening that I know a lot of people are struggling with here. And it's like, if we could look at it that way, is the opportunities then that really are coming out of this,
Right.
this changing
Yeah.
space. And for
And
you,
don't get me wrong, I don't like some of the things about it.
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
like I can't go to the river on a Saturday, or, it's kind of like all those things that I remember being able to do. And there's so many different things. I'm like, God, I remember when we used to do that. I remember when this was there. And I do sometimes miss those things,
Of course.
but I wouldn't, somebody said, you're either changing, you're either growing or you're dying, because change is always going to happen.
Yeah.
And so if you're talking about a community, if you don't, you can't stop change. You cannot stop it. And so if you're changing and you're not growing, then what are you doing? You're changing the other way. And I certainly wouldn't have wanted that for New Braunfels.
No, me either. And it's so, you came back to at a time when you said you came back at a time where you were finding your footing again. And so you're back here and you were a single mom because you had gone through some difficulty and really trying to figure out what your next step was and where you were going to go with things. And that's something, what did that take to really decide that you were going to come back here and do that,
Yeah. Well, I didn't think of it at the time. I didn't come back for purposes of business. I came back to be near my family.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, when I graduated from college, I was always in retail and with J.Crew and then with Abercrombie and Fitch. And so I was higher up in those companies. So I did run stores, but after a while I got into corporate. And so I was traveling a lot. I didn't meet anybody that way. I was definitely am still somewhat of a workaholic.
Yeah, you are.
But I did, yeah. And so I did meet somebody later. I didn't date a lot. I was definitely loving my job. I loved the career thing, going up the ladder and all of that stuff, and lived in some amazing places like Chicago and Washington, D.C. and Minneapolis, and just some really beautiful, beautiful cities. And I loved being able to go to a new city, not know anybody, and to be able to recreate yourself every time. And that happened about every 2 years. So I was addicted to my job. Then I started kind of like, I did fall in love. Eventually, I fell in love with a Texas boy. And I left the business because I couldn't travel as much as I was and have a family. So I did have my daughter, Kate, who now is 19. But we went through a tough time in our marriage. We were living in Arizona. Yes, Sedona, actually, which is where Kate is born. And we were going through a tough time, had some obstacles come across. And I really tried really, really hard to make that work. And Then we ended up moving to Las Vegas for a little bit. That, under the circumstances, was a disaster. So I took Kate and we came home for a while just to kind of figure out what it was, because I knew that it was going to be me. Like, if she was going to make it, I was going to have to depend upon myself to figure out a way to provide her with a life that was more stable, that was safe, that was filled with love, and without it being, just this up and down roller coaster. So I separated myself from that, came home, and just nestled into my family. My brother was here. He's a lawyer here in town, Kyle. So he was here. My sister wasn't back yet, but my mom and my older brother were also here. And so I was just enveloped immediately with this love. And then, of course, it was my hometown, right? So some of my friends were still here. I was meeting new people. And Kate and I carved out this little place for us to thrive on our own. This is well before any of the stores. I was working for Matt just to try to get a paycheck, and I loved working for him, but he was my brother, and it was weird because I just left this amazing career, and I was a mom, which I knew was super important, but no one really knew like what I was capable of doing. And I really, really craved the business side of things again. So I was being a mom, but I didn't feel a part of anything. I was Betty's daughter and I was Matt's sister, and I didn't have anything of my own. And that was okay for that time because Kate was most important. It wasn't about me. It never was. And so I had to figure out, and I wasn't probably well either. I was definitely going through some trauma.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize I knew I was going through. And until I got better here, going to some groups and stuff like that, and I owe it all to those groups, that I finally found the strength to branch out and start something on my own.
Yeah. And thank you for really talking through that, because I think too, just, admitting that was the space that Kate needed you in. And that was, that's a hard space that I think a lot of times, just even as mothers, to recognize, you want to give everything for your children, but it's okay to recognize and admit that there's part of you. Then if you were thriving in your career, you had this excitement, it's okay to then also say, I miss that part, or I want that part, or that spark, or even how you said, like, there's just this piece of you that people didn't know and they didn't get to see. And so you kind of working through that and finding groups that could help you find your own footing again, then really set you up for this position where then you could allow yourself to step back into some of those career areas that you're now thriving in, and so it's just such a wonderful thing that you were able to lean in on your family during those times and have that support, because I can't even imagine if you wouldn't have been able to give your creative and business gifts to the world, because you help so many people with them.
Well, you need those people to kind of kick you in the butt too. I think my family allowed me to walk, waddle in my misery for a little bit. They knew what I was capable of doing and what I had just accomplished in my career. And they saw me struggling to get my confidence back. And, those mean demons get in your head. And, when you're not well, they say, what you did before was, was not real. You were lucky, you're not capable of really doing that again. The voices were real. And that's where I needed help, because I didn't trust that I could get out there and risk failing, because I had already failed in my mind. I had already failed in that part, like the marriage part. And I was mad at myself that I couldn't fix that, because I could fix everything else. I was good at everything else.
Yeah. It's that shame. And then you're transferring it, because you were good at everything else. And so you're like, why can't I fix this one piece? Because, most people who get married don't do so to get a divorce, No.
And I was definitely in the world where, like, what's wrong with me? Like, what did I do wrong? And then you move back here because you're wondering on your family, but they know you. Everybody knows you, and they know that you're back here without your husband, and
Yeah.
they, they care about you, but at the same time, they're like, oh, Kat's, what happened, and da 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 da. And I had to just eventually I just kind of forgot all about that. So
You almost had to, because then you were in this space where again, you're not Betty's daughter. You're not just Matt's sister, but you're trying to be like, okay, I'm Kat and you may know me, but now this is a whole new space that you're getting to know yourself in, and you're identifying. So what did, when you finally started to get a little more settled and get your feet underneath you, what kind of was the catalyst for you deciding just to go for it with opening up the businesses?
You know what? That's a really great question. You have to remember that so I have to add a little bit.
Okay.
So we were separated when I moved back, right? He did move back here. My husband at the time, we were not divorced yet. So he kind of followed us back, really wanting it to work, right? And at that time, Kate and I had settled, we were here and we had our own little house, and I was working and Kate was going to school and we were good. Well, he comes back and had started getting his life back together. And like so many do, you want to try to keep the family together. You want it to work. And so I did give it another shot. And so during that time, he and I opened up a business where Lot 59 is right now, called Junkology. And it was awesome. It was a bit before its time, I think, but it was very industrial salvage and all of that stuff. Well, that was probably not the wisest thing for me to do because we clashed in our marriage, and of course we were going to clash in our business too. So it did last for a bit. I'm super proud of what we did there for a while, but it definitely didn't fix the things that were broken before. And so long story short, that didn't continue. So when we decided to get divorced, I was very adamant about wanting to move forward with a type of business. And I just said, you do that, you take that, I'm going to take this. And I moved forward with where Lot 59 is. So Lot 59 is the new business that is the beacon of the beginning of my kind of, I guess, rebirth a little bit of my confidence. And the catalyst would have been my brother. We went somewhere to eat dinner or something, and I was weepy a little bit. I was weepy because we had tried again and it didn't work, and then it was all messing up and everything was a mess. And he goes, well, what do you want? This is my brother, like, what do you want? And then I told him, and he goes, well, then why the hell aren't you doing it? It's like, what's keeping you from doing that? We're all here waiting for you to pull yourself up and out. And that was it. Honestly, that was it. Okay, I mean, my family, my sister, everybody is super like they don't let us wallow long. I can tell you that in our family. It's like, all right, we've seen enough. It's time.
Hey friends, I'm hosting a free masterclass on boundaries, and I'd love to see you there. Boundaries used to be my biggest challenge. I've spent much of my academic life working to understand boundaries because they don't come naturally to me. I have to work every day to ensure I set healthy boundaries that make me feel seen, heard, and valued. It is not easy, but it has been one of the most rewarding things that I've done for myself and for my relationships. So here are some reasons that I do this work. Setting boundaries can make me incredibly anxious, to the point that my voice shakes and I sound angry because I'm uncomfortable. It used to take me days for me to regulate my nervous system because boundary setting was so triggering. I've often had shame, guilt, and fear after setting boundaries because I internalize the reactions of others. I don't want anyone to be upset, and even as I become upset and frustrated, I still don't set good boundaries. That contributed to resentment, frustration, and burnout. The bottom line is that I didn't value myself enough to realize that I needed boundaries. I put the wishes of others above my own due to low self-worth. I convinced myself that I didn't even have needs that mattered. So I want to offer you one gentle reminder. People pleasing hurts you, and you are very valuable. So please do not engage in that self-harm. I don't want you to suffer as long or as hard as I did. I want you to find peace in your relationships because you are finally showing up as yourself and asking for what you need. So again, there's no shame if you're struggling. Healing is hard work, and boundaries are really difficult for most people. but you already know that you can do hard things. So let's change that narrative and dig in a bit. Join me on November 30th at 6 p.m. Central Time for the Becoming a Boundary Badass Masterclass. Click the link in the show notes below this episode or DM me on Instagram and I'll send you the link to sign up. Now let's continue with Kat. But that's so good because they're not saying, okay, no, get over it, don't wallow. They're saying, yep, sit in it, feel that, but then now let's move through it.
Yeah, this isn't going to fix itself. You're going to have to figure it out, right?
And so I love that that was just kind of the kick that you needed.
Oh man, no, he looked right at me and with gritted teeth, and he was like, "What are you going to do?" I'll never forget it. Yeah.
But that's what, but that's what we all do need people in our life. It's not just about the people will be like, yes, you can do it. It's like, you need the people to say like, yes, you can do it. So do it.
No, I love a good kick in the butt. It's good.
Yeah. It doesn't always feel good at the time, but then
it's not very good, but it does come around. So
you have lot 59, and that's honestly one of the first places that I fell in love with you in too, is just being able to go in the store and see the different things that you had. So then what makes you, have one store and then decide that you want a whole other project to open up the local, which is just taking life of its own.
So really fun story. So the lot 59 is kind of my heart. If you know me, there's a little bit of I'm a little bit of schizophrenic. So so I have this very hippie kind of side to me that's very natural and very kind of earthy and trippy. And then there's another side of me that is I understand retail. Like I've been doing it for 32 years. That's all I know. I know how to build a brand. It's all I did with A&F and with other businesses. So I knew, and from experience, what I needed to do to have something much bigger than what lot could give me in terms of square footage and in terms of visibility, right? Because it's behind the Wasatch. I love the store. I still love it. But when the local became available, it was almost fate, because I was looking for a space to open up something new, but nothing was happening. So I was being very patient. Mm-hmm. And literally how it happened was, just fate. It was just ridiculous actually how it happened. And I immediately, I didn't know that the person that was here before was leaving, and she actually walked into the store one night and I happened to be there, and she goes, "Hey, do you want these mannequins?" And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "Well, I'm leaving that store." And I'm like, hold it. I'm like, "Who's taking over?" And she's like, "I don't know if he's signed something new." And I said, "It's Ron." And he goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah." So I called Ron. I didn't know him. I got the number, and I got on the phone and I said, "Ron, I don't know what your plan is. I need 5 minutes." I said, "Just give me 5 minutes." And he knew me enough to say, "Okay, come meet me at Krause's." And so I did a 5-minute pitch to him, and it turned out okay. He was about to sign. Someone else was. I took it from somebody. I've always been forever grateful to the Snyder family for giving me the opportunity. They didn't know me when I went in there, and mm-hmm. So I'm super grateful.
But that's just a testament to you for going for it too. Again, for just, deciding that you were going to say, "Hey, yeah, give me a shot. Let me tell you what I can do." Yeah. Because the spot that you've created. And for those of you who aren't in New Braunfels, I just really encourage you to go follow the local on Instagram, and you'll see what Kat means when she says she knows how to build a brand. When you walk in this store, it's the feeling, it's like you just walk in and it just feels like a fun, cool place. You feel that energy, and it is through your creation. And you just have that view and that vision where you are able to put together spaces that you want to exist in. It's like, I don't only want to shop there, I just want to hang out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think people who build stores or whatever, they need to, shopping is entertainment. Yeah, it is it's a choice that we make as people. You can go to the movies, you can go to a bar or whatever, or you can go shopping. Sometimes it all mixes in together, which is really cool too. But it is a choice and it's an activity, right? Mm-hmm. So when you look at things that you choose to do for entertainment, you're looking to have fun. Yeah, it shouldn't be a chore. And so when you build an atmosphere, is you want to hit all of those senses that build endorphins inside of you. without really realizing it, right? So it's very subliminal. It should smell good. The music should be happy. The things that you touch should be soft and cozy. The colors should be happy, and the people, good grief, the people have got to love where they need to be. They should look good, and they should dress well, and they should authentically be what you're selling.
Yeah.
And then all of that together builds that brand. And yeah, so we try to hit every point. I teach the girls, I'm like, everything has to be, don't miss a thing. The music's got to be the right volume. um so
But I
it's
love how
fun.
you've done such a good job too with the people that you've hired, because you just said, who are authentically, and you feel it, you walk in, I know the people that you hire and they're all great. I love going in there and just chatting with
Yeah,
them,
they're good girls.
not distracting them from their work. I would never do that.
No,
But
no.
I think like that just also speaks to, you are, you mentioned earlier a little bit of a workaholic, and yes, you are. I mean, me too. But so given that, but you're so passionate about this is what you love, this is what you enjoy. So then that makes it almost kind of harder to step away from sometimes too,
Yeah,
because so how do you say you do that? How do you find any space for yourself, especially when you are in retail? I mean, coming up on the holidays again, you are just so all in with different things. And then even after the holidays, you have to go to shows to prep for the next cycle. So how do
yeah.
you even begin to separate out this busy, exciting, energetic space, but then finding time for yourself, or
Right.
stepping
I,
away?
I I don't do it well. I'm getting better at it the older I get. Um, in retail, nothing ever closes. I mean, the doors might close or whatever, but you're always, looking at numbers, and you're always preparing for the next day. This store is open 7 days a week. So even when I'm off or gone, I'm looking at numbers, or I'm answering questions, or, the girls are texting me about something that they need, which is fine. Thank God I do love it. It is not very natural for me. So I don't really look at it the same way somebody would look at it on a Sunday, going, oh, I have to work from, and then I can't wait till Friday. It's just never, my lifestyle has always been, it's always on. Um, but I do get tired, and I can usually tell my barometer is when I can't create something, like when I can't sit down and go, okay, I need to do this for this. I need to think about how this is supposed to be this way. And it just doesn't come real easily. That means my brain, my brain is tired. My creative juices are lacking, and my energy, not only physically, but also mentally, is just spent. And so I usually have to just go away. I love going places with my daughter, Kate. She is so fun. And we just have such a ball together that is certainly a respite for me. I do like going places by myself too. That probably stems from all the years that I traveled by myself to these different places. And so that is, if Kate can't come with me, I will go somewhere for 5 or 6 days just to get a different change of scenery. It might just be Austin, but being in a place where I don't have responsibility, or I don't need to answer to somebody, or I don't need to clean or organize something, because I will always procrastinate and
Yes.
do something. I don't have OCD, but I do procrastinate sometimes by being busy.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's
Yeah.
such a good
So
thing to
yeah.
recognize, that you do that though. Cause so often people think
Yeah.
like, oh, it's busy all day,
Oh no,
but
I know. Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely stress eat. So that's something I'm trying to work on. And then I'm busy. Like I'll rearrange something. I'm like, I can't be creative until this is all organized.
Yeah.
So it's just really ridiculous, but I am aware that it is a thing. And I try to stop that. But January, I get away always after holiday. And usually in August and September is always a good time for me to go away. But the better my team is, which is, it happens, they get better and better all the time, the more I get to pull away and give them the ability to be to be their own managers. And that's
Yeah.
obviously the goal. The goal
Yeah.
is for me to, as I grow, as I get older, to step back a little bit and train them to take over. So really my job is to choose the things that will keep us moving in the right direction, and that I'm just buying, which is happening more and more. You don't see me on the floor as much, which is really my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
But there's so much buying that needs to happen, that I'm spending more time doing that. And I do love that too.
Well, I think it's so, not only for you to recognize, like you said, you can tell when your brain, when it just doesn't have the space to let those ideas come in. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that we all need to start to recognize, whenever we're feeling stuck, instead of just thinking, oh, I feel stuck. Why do you feel stuck? It's probably because your brain actually can't let anything else come in, so sometimes
Right.
taking the steps away or taking that time away, especially when you are into work or you're so into being productive, taking that space can feel like you shouldn't, or like counterproductive, or I don't have time. But this from your own, taking that space, that little bit of time, you come back and those ideas are back, your creativity is flowing again. And also
It never fails. That's exactly what happens. And I have to push myself to get away, because it's not that I think that it's going to fall apart. That's definitely not what I think. It's just making the decision to go and make the arrangements and, all of that stuff. Cause I'm in a cycle. I know exactly what I do every day. And to stop that sometimes is like, okay, getting back into it is harder than leaving sometimes.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people that feel that too.
Mm.
So.
Well, and I think that you just hit on so many wonderful things too. What we need to be able to do that, or one thing that can help us all do that, is to have that support system, not only as your family, like you talked about when you were going through different things, or that you have now, but the support system of having this team, this wonderful team that you've curated. And then I just really want to mention, not only do you empower your team to take on these roles and you give them that sense of ownership, you empower so many people throughout the community and throughout the area with all of the goods that you sell at the store. And I just really want to highlight that too, and make sure that people know, like, Kat, when she says these things, she, allows local artists and different people who have goods to sell them in her store. And she really makes a point to celebrate them and to showcase their work. And I think that is something that is so important, because you aren't living in this place where, oh, I did this and it's all about me and you can't be part of it. You are truly trying to say, yeah, look at me go. And do you want to come along with me?
Right.
And
yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it. I think the idea of representing local artists and designers really came from, once again, my experience with traveling the way that I did with A&F and with J.Crew, and then when I studied abroad for a little while. There was, to me, and in my growing up years too, I love going to artisan shows. I love going to, Grant Park in Chicago when they had all the local artists there. And I love going to those festivals and things like that. And I always would, when I would travel, or when I'd live in a city, I'd always try to find something authentic that somebody made that represented, the area, right? So I'm definitely not like a magnet person, or or somebody that needs like a shot glass or something. I want a piece of art, or I want some jewelry, or a pair of some earrings, or a necklace, or a card, or something, a mug, like a pottery mug. I love pottery usually. So I always look for it. And so I have this collection of stuff at home that is, from my travels, that are made from there. And so I'm sitting there thinking, I know that there are places like that here in New Braunfels when I started the local, but there was something specific that I felt like wasn't being met. And so when we opened it, I definitely reached out to some people, but then it was kind of organic. Then as we got bigger, or I guess more noticed, then artists started calling, and talking to me. And without question, other than working with this team of people that I have, these girls, and developing them into managers and hopefully owners someday, which is a joy. There is nothing like representing a new artist. What's interesting about artists, new artists, young artists, is that oftentimes they don't realize how good they are.
Yeah.
And they're super, they're not real risk takers, like when it comes to selling their goods, right?
Yeah.
They are artists. So their safe space is creating something on a canvas, or something in jewelry, or maybe designing something on a shirt, right? That's where they thrive. When it gets to the part where they have to ask somebody to evaluate it by paying them, or by putting it up at a show or something, they use, some of them, not all of them, some of them pull back because they're worried, because they are being evaluated, right? Their work is being evaluated. So what if nobody buys it? What if nobody likes it? Da 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 da. So my art, where I'm good at that, is that part. That part is, okay, I see your gift. That is your bliss. My bliss is finding the people that will recognize that, and putting that art in a place, in an atmosphere that everybody can see it and have the same joy that I have in looking at that. And that is my art. That's how I feel. I have that. I know how to surround their art and their designs with every bit of opportunity that it can succeed, in an atmosphere, I hope, that is worthy of that, right? And so, one of my favorite things is writing those checks every month to these artists that have sold something, because think about that. I get such a joy. They are making money doing what they love.
Yeah.
And they are getting something that shows them that it's worthy, and that what they love doing actually has value, and that they can actually make money doing that. And there's nothing like that in the world. It's why I love what I do so much. I'm good at this, and it's working, and isn't that what everybody wants? It's what you want.
Yeah.
You're living your bliss right now, and there's nothing like it in the world. And not many people get to do it. Trust me, I am absolutely thankful and grateful every moment that I'm getting to do what I do. There were many times in my life, in many years, that wasn't the case, but I very much am aware that I'm living the dream that I wanted to have for myself and for my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I am always, always grateful, very grateful. Sometimes I just don't, obviously feel I'm not worthy of that.
Well, I think that that's the thing, is that the work that you put into it and the intention that you put behind everything, and then just with your open heart with that, it's that, yes, you know what, I don't only want this magic for myself. I want to make sure, as you said, you want to have other people finding their bliss, and then you recognizing the joy that brings you. And so it does just create this wonderful, wonderful cycle that allows people to continue to create and to really have a livelihood with that. Because you're right, so often that's such a difficult space when you're pouring your heart out to something, or you are attached to the things that you're creating, that it can feel like a personal rejection if you don't know how to market it, or if you're not sure where even is the space that somebody would want to find it. And you have such a gift of showing, like you said, taking those goods, or taking those products, or taking these beautiful things that people create, and finding the audience that's going to appreciate them. And that's just such an empowerment, that I think you are just giving such a beautiful gift. And then that gift just keeps on giving, right? Because then that inspires other people to create more, because that stuck feeling we were talking about, you help creative people get out of that stuck space, because you're kind of taking away this other pressure off of them by helping them find these spaces to share their gifts.
Right.
So I just
rarely does everybody, have all the threats checked, I don't paint like Sarah or Courtney, I would love to paint. I don't do, fiber art like Kristen, at 7 Summers at Lot 59. the stained glass of Marta Hinkle at lot 59. I mean, Nelson with his hats here. I mean, all those things I wish I had that gift. And so I love being surrounded by it, because those are all things that I wish I could do. But if I can't, which obviously I can't, then I want to surround myself with it. Somebody came in I often get asked this, but like, how do you choose like the combination of everything? And I'm like, if you didn't know me and you walked in, this is everything I love.
Yeah.
Everything that makes me happy. I love plants. I love fashion. I love books. I love hats. I love New Braunfels. I love kids, which, the kids section. I love jewelry. I mean, I love pencils and pens, and I love journals, and, wine glasses and champagne. And I mean, it's all those things that just make me happy. And so why not be surrounded by it all the time and sell it?
Yeah. Well, but that's awesome.
I'm going to use it anyway.
Yeah. You know what? But that's such a good, like, think about what you just said, even on a surface level, I want to be all these things, but I'm not. So I'm going to surround myself with the people that are. You could have said, I want to be those things, but I'm not. So I'm going to be jealous of those people, or I'm going to be mad at them, or but you don't. You say, yeah, you know what? So I want to be part of that sparkle, and I'm going to bring my own sparkle. And
yeah.
And I think that,
well, it's just more fun like that. Good grief. And all these people are so fabulous. I mean, they're all friends, we've all become friends and family, and, their wins are my wins, and vice versa. And, it doesn't always work that way. I mean, there's certainly been times where it's like, this didn't work. And,
right.
We gave it a try, and it just, just didn't work out. And those are not fun conversations to have. So it's not like I hit it out of the park or they hit it out of the park every time. And those are lessons there too. But, overall, it's just so much more fun when you have a group of people that you're all kind of champions for each other. It's certainly more fun. I'm definitely a Libra when it comes to that. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to get along. I don't want any conflict or anything. I don't shy away from conflict, but if there's a way to fix something without distress or something, that I'm very diplomatic. But generally, yeah. So yeah, I just want to be happy. I want everybody to be happy. It sounds so Pollyanna.
I love that movie. It does sound Pollyanna, but you know what? It's all about the ways that, you already said it. You were allowed to wallow. You were allowed to sit with it for a little bit, right? But then you feel that, and then you understand, okay, I can sit with this forever, or I can figure out ways to move through things. And that's what, that's what the movie Pollyanna, for those of you who haven't seen it, go watch it. Cause that's all that's about, right? Is that positive reframing, because things are going to happen to all of us. There's going to be these situations, but it really is, how are we moving through that? How are we going forward? It's like what you said, the change, the growth. We can be here for that, and we can recognize it's going to happen, or we can sit and stay stagnant. And I don't want to be stagnant. I don't want like pond scum on top of my water,
Right.
like I want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think as you get older, which is what I love about getting older, is that you start recognizing people who are stuck because you're older, right? So when you meet somebody and you're kind of watching them, and you kind of see the light, like, but you're watching them kind of go through a rough time, and you've kind of somewhat been there a little bit. I don't usually go, oh, well, this is what happened to me, but you know how to help them kind of pull themselves out of it. And sometimes it's, yes, you can do a book signing, or yes, let's have a meeting, or let's go, let's talk some stuff out. You need some advice, or what, are you struggling? What can let's talk it out, and, I love doing that. I think if I probably had not been a retailer. I probably should have probably been a therapist because I do.
I mean, you kind of are to basically everyone who comes in this store anyway.
Yeah, well, it becomes that, there's so many times. That's one of the reasons why we have couches and lounges in both stores is that, they're all, we always have wine. We have, if somebody wants it, I'm like, hey, I got a bottle. If you need to, we can sit on the couch here. And if you ask anybody early on, the true VIPs, the true OGs of Lot 59, that is what that store is. It was because I didn't have a team of people. It was me and Jillian and Caitlin. And I was there mostly every day. And so they would come in, sometimes we'd stay for 2 or 3 hours and we would just sit there and chat on the couch. They'd buy a few things here and there, but over time it was a place where people would come and gather and feel at home. And of course, the local is a little bit different because it's busier that way, but it is still that way for some people. You definitely want people to come here. Like if they're feeling down, I want this to be one of their choices.
Yeah.
And I just want to be in the mix.
It is. And again, for any of you who aren't in New Braunfels, just even go follow their Instagram page because you'll feel that just from there. It's so fun. And Kat, thank you you are so busy and I'm very appreciative that you were even willing to take time to chat with me today. You have so many things just to offer everyone, just in terms of your outlook on life and the ways that you've overcome things and managed, and the way that you really just choose to make every day the best of it. You have stress, you have things that happen, you have so many things going on all the time, yet you're just choosing every day, okay, how am I going to get through this in a way that I can go to sleep at night and know that I did the best that I could with what I had. And I love that about you so much. And I'm just so grateful to know you.
I am grateful to know you. And I'm, at the risk of sounding like a mother, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of this. It's funny because, doing a podcast was always something that I thought about doing many years ago. And here you are doing it and you're doing it right. And there's nothing that makes me happier than seeing you on that screen. And I'm like, yes, girl, go, do it. And I am a fan, and it goes full circle.
Yeah, I love you. And I'm so happy that you were able to spend time with us. Thank you again for sharing your story.
Of course. Thank you guys, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Here are my takeaways from this episode. Number 1, if you're not changing, you're not growing. Embracing the changes that are helping you grow as a human in a positive way can be one thing that helps you feel more appreciative to your surroundings. Number 2, hard times don't last forever. It's important to allow yourself the time, space, and get help if needed to properly process traumatic situations. Number 3, there are things that align so perfectly in life that really do feel like fate. Patience and belief that something good is coming really does pay off. Number 4, shopping is really an activity that incorporates all the senses, even subliminally. Take note of how you feel in your shopping experiences and appreciate when a store does it right. Number 5, when you burn out, most of your creative energy is stalled. Take some time to rest and recover so you can come back rejuvenated with a new drive. Number 6, we all have our gifts and we all can use our gifts to shine a new light on others and their gifts. And when we do this, it's a true unleveling of joy and gratitude. Thank you again for being here today. I'm so appreciative that you listen and take time out of your day to spend with me. Go ahead and share this if you feel inclined and leave a review. I would appreciate it so much. Thanks again and have a great week.